This photograph became one of the most unsettling images circulating around the Epstein case. Yet what truly turned it into a subject of controversy was not the people in the room, but the small portrait hanging on the wall in the background. The image shows a stylized male face with an exaggerated smile. The facial features are deliberately caricatured, the grin unnaturally wide, and the expression disturbingly frozen, creating a sense of unease for the viewer. In the public eye, this face has often been claimed to resemble Jeffrey Epstein. But this point must be made clearly: the resemblance has never been officially confirmed. Neither the artist has stated that it depicts him, nor do any legal documents identify it as such. The interpretation is based entirely on visual association and symbolic reading. Even so, given the dark and secretive nature of the Epstein case, the presence of such a portrait is rarely seen as a random decorative choice. Many commentators argue that a deliberately unsettling image like this may serve as a psychological message to those in the room, symbolizing power, control, mockery, or a sense of untouchability. Another interpretation suggests that the portrait reflects dark humor or irony, as distorted and grotesque representations of moral decay and corruption are a recurring theme in art history. More provocative readings go further, claiming that the image was placed there intentionally as a form of provocation, meant to reinforce the idea that nothing connected to this environment was accidental. Because the Epstein case has come to represent not only a criminal investigation, but also a wider network of power, elites, secrecy, and symbolism, even the smallest details take on amplified meaning. As a result, this seemingly minor portrait has become one of the visual symbols that fuels the case's ominous atmosphere and strengthens the perception that, in this world, nothing is ever truly innocent or coincidental. Jeffrey Edward Epstein, January 20th, 1953 to August 10th, 2019, stands as one of the darkest and most perplexing figures in modern American history. His life story is a disturbing study in contrasts. A man who seamlessly navigated the highest echelons of global power while simultaneously orchestrating an industrial-scale enterprise of depravity beneath the surface. While the world initially knew him as a wealthy financier and connected businessman, history has permanently branded him with his true titles: a prolific child sex abuser, a serial rapist, and a calculated human trafficker. Epstein's professional beginnings were marked by an anomaly that perhaps foreshadowed his lifelong ability to manipulate systems and gain access to spaces where he didn't belong. Despite lacking a college degree, a fundamental requirement for most educators, he was hired as a teacher at the elite Dalton School by its then headmaster, Donald Barr. This early ability to secure a position of trust without traditional credentials speaks to a charismatic manipulative streak that would define his later career. Following his dismissal from the Dalton School in 1976, Epstein executed a rapid pivot into the high-stakes world of finance. He cut his teeth at Bear Stearns, working in various capacities before eventually striking out on his own to found his own firm. It was in this arena that he began to amass serious wealth. While he often shrouded the specifics of his business in mystery, it is widely understood that the bedrock of his fortune came from providing highly specialized tax and estate planning services to billionaires. He essentially became a financial fixer for the ultra-wealthy, a role that provided him not just with money, but with leverage and indispensable connections. Epstein used this accumulated wealth to carefully curate a vast and glittering social circle. He surrounded himself with presidents, princes, scientists, and Hollywood icons. However, this network was more than just a vanity project. It served as both sophisticated camouflage for his predatory activities and a shield against scrutiny. The true horror of Epstein's legacy lies in the mechanics of his abuse ring. Behind the doors of his luxury properties, he was running a complex trafficking operation. It is estimated that Epstein was directly responsible for procuring at least 1,000 underage girls, teenagers, and young women. These victims were not merely procured. They were systematically entrapped in a cycle of sexual assault and rape, perpetrated repeatedly by Epstein himself and, disturbingly, by members of his close inner circle. He used his power and riches to victimize the vulnerable on a massive scale, seemingly protected for decades by the very elite status he had cultivated. Jeffrey Epstein was taken back into custody on July 6, 2019, after federal prosecutors charged him with multiple counts related to the sexual exploitation of minors and the operation of an organized prostitution network spanning Florida and New York. The arrest marked a dramatic return to the spotlight for Epstein, whose past legal troubles had already drawn widespread controversy. Just over a month later, on August 10, 2019, Epstein was discovered dead inside his single-occupancy cell at a federal detention facility. Official reports stated that the 66-year-old financier had died by suicide, having taken his own life by hanging. The ruling, however, immediately sparked intense public debate and skepticism. Epstein's legal team, along with many observers, questioned the circumstances surrounding his death, pointing to alleged failures in jail supervision and inconsistencies in the timeline. Despite these concerns and the widespread doubt voiced across media and public forums, the medical examiner ultimately concluded that the cause of death was suicide. As a direct legal consequence of his death, the criminal proceedings against Epstein could not continue. And on August 29, 2019, a federal judge formally dismissed all remaining charges. For decades, Epstein had also been closely associated with his former partner, Ghislaine Maxwell. She was accused of playing a central role in recruiting, grooming, and supplying underage girls for Epstein, as well as participating in broader sex trafficking activities. These long-standing allegations culminated in Maxwell's arrest by the FBI on July 2, 2020, bringing renewed attention to the wider network surrounding Epstein. Beyond Maxwell, Epstein maintained relationships with numerous influential and high-profile individuals, including Prince Andrew, the Duke of York. Amid growing scrutiny and public pressure over his ties to Epstein, Prince Andrew later stepped back from his royal duties, further underscoring the far-reaching impact of the scandal.